This is WISN 12 News with breaking news.
And that breaking news as we come on the air here, a building fire in Milwaukee. You're getting a live look at the scene right now. This is near Fond du Lac and Villard. You can see several fire trucks there, smoke coming from the building in the background. Crews activated a second alarm a short time ago, meaning that they required assistance from other departments as they work to put that fire out. Again, you can see this is a building fire happening in Milwaukee at Fond du Lac and Villard, and it looks like firefighters there going in and out of the building at this point. So we're working to find out more about this. Obviously, we have a crew on the scene, so we'll let you know as we get an update in terms of what exactly this building is.
Are you vaccinated, and what's your stance on vaccinations?
Yeah, I've been immunized.
And continuing this morning, we're of course talking about Aaron Rodgers and that positive COVID test. The growing questions about his vaccination status and possible NFL rule violations. He tested positive for COVID and will miss Sunday's game against the Kansas City Chiefs, Deanna.
Yeah, Adrian, the news throwing the organization into chaos and drawing a lot of national attention here into what exactly is going on, mostly because of his response to direct questions about the COVID vaccine for himself and his teammates.
You know, there's guys on the team that haven't been vaccinated. I think it's a personal decision. I'm not going to judge those guys.
Now, there were more direct questions for leaderships. One of the biggest came from 12 Sports' Stephen Watson.
I know that you won't specifically address Aaron's status. Aaron himself addressed it in August when he was asked about his vaccination status. He said, quote, "Yeah, I've been immunized." Do you feel like a quote like that might be seen as misleading to fans?
It's a great question for Aaron. I'm not going to comment on it.
12 News caught up with the former Packers executive who drafted Aaron Rodgers. We got his take on number 12 and the NFL's COVID protocol. He says this is not a good look for Rodgers or the Packers.
Now we look at what went on, what were his interactions. My guess, Courtney, is a lot of interviews, a lot of discussions, especially with the downstairs crew at the Packers, whether that's trainers, equipment guys, strength and conditioning, security.
An interview there with Courtney says the NFL and the Players Association have 95 pages of COVID protocol for both vaccinated and unvaccinated players and staff. The document says any unvaccinated players cannot gather outside the club facility with more than 3 players. But of course, we've seen this video here. Rodgers and other team members posted images of them at a Halloween party. Now, according to the protocol, that violation could cost Rodgers $14,650. The document also says unvaccinated players must remain masked while indoors, but of course, we've seen this a lot. He's there doing a press briefing with no mask. The NFL says it is investigating the situation. Later in sports, Coach Matt LaFleur on Jordan Love's first NFL start. That's set for Sunday.
Breaking on 12 News this morning, an escaped prisoner at Mitchell International Airport. We're going to give you a description of the man and the warning from the Milwaukee County Sheriff's Office.
Plus, Rittenhouse trial day 8. We look ahead as the defense calls more witnesses to testify today.
And the Packers COVID protocol investigation, the consequences for the team and Aaron Rodgers for not following the rules.
And we have big changes on the way. Temperatures are dropping and even our first flakes of the season. I'll have the details just ahead.
This is WISN 12 News with breaking news.
And that breaking news is the search for an escaped prisoner from the Milwaukee airport. The sheriff's office says this man, he's on your screen right now, Robert Johnson Jr., is on the run.
Jaron Jordan joining us live here. And Jaron, what's the latest?
Yeah, Adrian and Deanna, that man escaped from corrections custody at the airport while being transported to a facility in Rock County, Wisconsin. So take a look here. This is who deputies are looking for right now. Robert Johnson Jr. He's from Rockford, Illinois, but was being transported to Rock County from a facility in Laredo, Texas. It was just before 9:30 last night that investigators say Johnson escaped from the custody of U.S. Corrections. It's a private correctional contractor. Authorities say Johnson has an extensive criminal record and is currently facing aggravated assault and battery charges. They're warning extreme caution for anyone who comes across him. Now, Johnson is described as 5'7", 145 pounds with a face tattoo of a star. He was last seen wearing a black jacket, white t-shirt, and blue ripped pants. He also had on a single handcuff and had been outfitted with a rip belt or restraint. Now, the search underway right now isn't having any impact on flights in or out of the airport this morning, but deputies are asking anyone who sees or makes contact with Johnson to call 911 immediately.
This is WISN 12 News with breaking news.
We start at 8 with that breaking news. A violent night in Milwaukee with multiple shootings, 2 of which were deadly. The violence started just after 11 o'clock last night on 32nd Street. Milwaukee police say the victim, a 31-year-old man, rushed to the hospital for medical treatment. Then, just before 1 this morning, more gunfire, this time near 60th and Bradley. Medics took a 24-year-old man to the hospital. He is expected to survive. Around 1:30 this morning, a 20 to 30-year-old shooting victim arrived at the hospital where he later died. Right now, police are still investigating where that shooting started and who exactly that shooting victim is. Around the same time, someone shot a 17-year-old near 76th and Bobolik. Medics took that teenager to the hospital, and that teen is expected to survive. And just before 3 this morning, a deadly shooting on Evans Street. Video here shows the area not too far from 79th and Hampton all blocked off. Now, police say the victim, a man in his 20s, died on scene. Our cameras captured officers searching a car for evidence at this hour. No word on how and if that is connected to the shooting. Milwaukee police right now are investigating what led up to each of those shootings and are still searching for suspects. If you have any information, police want to hear from you.
This is WISN 12 News with breaking news.
And that breaking news as we come on the air this morning, a Milwaukee duplex up in flames overnight, sending 10 people to the hospital. The video shows the heavy response as crews work to extinguish the blaze and get everyone out. The Milwaukee Fire Department says they rescued 2 kids from the balcony who attempted to jump off before crews arrived to help. Medics took them and 5 other kids to Children's Hospital. 3 adults are getting care at Freighter. Now, this all started just before 11 o'clock last night near 35th and Hour. Both the upper and lower levels of the duplex caught fire. And with the flames spreading to the buildings on the left and right side, crews had to work fast to get it out.
You know, our troops did an excellent job tonight. They got in there very quick. We were able to rescue those 2 kids with heavy fire underneath them. When we arrived, we threw a ladder to the porch. We were able to get them off. So my hat's off to the firefighters that were here tonight. They did a heck of a job, and they saved 10 people tonight.
The deputy chief says the victims are being treated for minor burns and smoke inhalation and should all survive.
You're in the command seat. You're going to know more about this case than anyone in the world.
Right now on 12 News this morning, the jurors now seated. The makeup of the group who will decide Kyle Rittenhouse's fate.
When you elect people that have an agenda and they're going to have a majority, 4 people can do whatever they want.
Plus, school board recall vote, the heated election in Mequon-Thiensville that's getting national attention.
And kid vaccine approval. The CDC meeting today and the impact doctors say it'll have in slowing the spread of COVID-19.
Leading the way with important local coverage. You're watching WISN 12 News this morning.
Welcome to 12 News this morning. It is Tuesday, November 2nd. We're taking a live look outside, waking up to a chill in the air again today.
That's right. If you're heading out this morning, you might want to grab an extra layer. I'm going to be honest with you, ladies. I grabbed some gloves today. I couldn't do it.
I have hot hands in my pockets.
It's that time of year. It's November.
Yeah.
You know, and plus we're not acclimated to it. So, you know, I will be talking about a little bit more about your forecast later, but as you're heading out the door right now, just know you do need a couple of layers. More details on how long the cold trend will last just ahead.
All right, Linz, we want to get to our other big story this morning. Opening statements today in the Kyle Rittenhouse double homicide trial. Now, this after an all-day session that ran into the night to select a jury.
The court started with 179 people. 20 have been selected. 12 jurors, 8 alternates, 11 women, 9 men. All but 1 are white.
Now, they will decide if Rittenhouse acted in self-defense when he shot 3 men, killing 2 of them during the unrest in Kenosha following the Jacob Blake police shooting in August of last year.
Rittenhouse, who is 18, faces life in prison if convicted of first-degree intentional homicide, the most serious charge against him. 12 News was there as Rittenhouse's mother walked into the courthouse yesterday to watch jury selection.
So let's get to 12 News' Ben Wagner in Kenosha with a closer look at the jury selection process.
In a case with national attention, the judge presiding over the trial of Kyle Rittenhouse told a jury panel to focus on what they hear inside the courtroom.
You're in the command seat. You're going to know more about this case than anyone in the world.
The jury breakdown is 11 women and 9 men. Judge Bruce Schrader advised them to avoid any coverage on air or online.
Be very selective, and in the event that you land on something that you even hear anything to do with this case, just switch right away to Disney Plus or some other site.
It was August of 2020 when Rittenhouse shot 3 men, killing 2, he says, in self-defense during the unrest after police shot Jacob Blake. Prosecutors and the defense team whittled down the pool from 179 earlier in the day with questions about everything from their ability to be impartial, guns, and the protests that happened right outside this courthouse.
How many of you came out physically on any of those nights to participate in any of those activities, to protest, to show your support for any particular cause, anything along those lines? I'm not seeing any hands.
The riot the day before, and then Mr. Rittenhouse and the shooting the next day. Is there anybody here who's just angry about what had happened?
A lot of anxiety over it. I don't know, maybe it's just reliving it. I live so close to everything that happened. It's just really bothering me.
The question will always be, do you think that you can set aside those feelings?
At this point, I don't think I can.
Of the 20 seated, 8 alternates will be selected shortly before deliberations begin.
This can be a moment of such pride to our community if you do what the founders of the country hoped.
That was Ben Wagner reporting. Now, Judge Schrader says that there is less than a 1% chance he will sequester the jury or isolate them at some point during the trial. Be sure to stay with 12 News for continuing coverage of the Rittenhouse trial. You can watch the trial live on the WISN 12 Facebook page and on WISN.com. There we also have a special section that's dedicated for updates in the case.